Good morning, trail grazers. And I'm sorry to say that our weather has been not conducive in the last several weeks for us to go on little day trips to try out our in-car meal, our new little car oven. And so we're moving on. We are going to be preparing some food for the trail, and today we're going to be working with turkey. Now, over the past holiday season, we had in our region some really good buys on turkey, and we ended up with 3 large turkeys in our freezer. Well, that's about too many. And so we got this one out a couple of days ago to thaw it, and I am just going to cook it in this oven bag, which is a quick and easy way to do it. What I have done here, it has herbed butter that I've shoved up under the skin here on the breast. And then the cavity is empty virtually. I'm not putting anything fancy in the cavity at all. Salt and pepper and butter all over the top. And we're going to go ahead and cook this turkey. And then when we come back, after it has cooked and cooled, we'll bring you back and show you the turkey at that point. And then we're just going to cut it immediately, and we're going to do it in a couple of ways to help prepare a food for the trail. And so we'll show you what those methods are as soon as we get this bird cooked and it's cooled a little bit enough so that we can work with it. So we will see you shortly. Well, here we are with our turkey out of the oven, and so it just has smelled just fabulous all morning cooking. I'm just doing it real plain, not hot, not like I would do for a holiday or anything, but it will work. And of course, it has produced wonderful, wonderful broth. And I'm going to save the drippings and the bones because I'll be making roasted turkey bone broth. And we have a video on that over on our other channel. I did want to call your attention to these posters that I have up here. We're going to start featuring one book a month on a special sale the last week. So from February 21st to 28th. So this is the book that my sister and I wrote. Took us over a year to write this, 244 pages, and it's all about food storage with a pretty basic plan. Then these other 2 posters are letting folks know that we have 2 online courses, water bath canning basics and pressure canning step-by-step online courses that are now available, and everything is in our bookstore. And the bookstore link is always in the description of the videos. So this got a little dark on the top, but I'm not a bit worried about it. We're going to let this cool for a couple of hours. Then we'll take all of the meat off, and then when we get all done with that, I'm going to freeze the bones and the broth until after I do the second of 3 turkeys in our freezer, and then I will use all of those bones to make some wonderful roasted turkey bone broth. So we'll be back pretty soon. So we are going to be doing some freeze drying, and we're going to freeze dry 2 things. We're going to freeze dry pieces of the turkey, just plain, already cooked, of course. And then we're going to be freezing pieces of this turkey tetrazzini that I'm making right now. So in this pan, I have a sauce that I've put together. This is my sister's recipe, and it is in our recipe book that is 40 plus recipes. And it was written by my 3 sisters and myself. This is the turkey tetrazzini. And in here, to make this sauce, I have 5 tablespoons of butter, 6 tablespoons of flour, and that was mixed with some salt and pepper. And then I added 3 cups of chicken broth and 1 cup of evaporated milk, which you could also use cream. And now because it has thickened up, I need to add all of the rest of the ingredients. So here we go. First I'm adding, this is 3 cups of our turkey pieces that I took from the turkey, obviously. And then I'm adding 1 cup of celery that has been microwaved with 2 tablespoons of ghee, just to kind of saute it. Smells fantastic. I'm adding 2 cans of mushrooms. I'm going to add 1 with the liquid. It calls for the liquid to stay, but I think it would make it too runny, so I'm just drained the liquid out of 1 of them. And so this is 2 4-ounce cans of mushrooms. And now I am adding 8 ounces of cooked spaghetti. It was 8 ounces dry, so I'm adding that. It is now cooked. Oh, and this is so good. This is my sister Cindy's recipe, and you've met Cindy with her husband John, giving us how they do meals on their ski trips. She fixed this for us once when we were up there, and oh, we just couldn't get enough of it. Now this is 1/4 cup of grated cheddar and 1/4 cup of Parmesan, and I'm just going to mix it together and put it in and stir it. And then I have just this same amount to put on the top once we get it in the casserole. So I'm stirring gently to get that cheese distributed. Now I'm ready to turn this off and to pour it into this casserole dish that I have sprayed with nonstick. So here we go. I'll move this little stove off to the side. And we're going to redistribute some of this stuff that's all on top. Now we will bake this and then let it cool and cut it into serving pieces and put it on the freeze dryer trays. So again, I'm mixing 1/4 cup each of this Parmesan and cheddar, and I'm putting it on the top. Okay, beautiful casserole. This bakes for 30 minutes in a 350 oven. Then we'll let it cool and cut it, and we will bring you back when we have the freeze dryer trays ready to go out to the freeze dryer. Wow, what a day. I started with that turkey at 8 o'clock this morning, and it is now 6 o'clock. And Jim and I just had dinner. We had each had a helping of this turkey tetrazzini. It was fantastic. And so here's what is going to be going in our freeze dryer in just a few minutes. Both breasts of the turkey plus some extra dark meat, and then 1 tray of the turkey tetrazzini. And then we have this much left, and I'll be doing another batch of turkey tetrazzini, and I'll be filling up probably more trays with that. So I'm quite excited about this. We'll be able to use this freeze-dried turkey for a lot of different things. Plus, it'll be very easy to reconstitute the tetrazzini. We will pack that in Mylar bags to make it really easy. So this is going in the freeze dryer, and it will probably take at least 36 hours and maybe a little bit longer. So we will see you in a couple of days, and I'll bring you back and show you the end results. Well, good morning. It's 2 days later, and finally our turkey is finished. Here it is. The meat looks just great. I'm a little worried about the tetrazzini, but we'll get to that in just a moment. The first thing I want to do is, as you know, we love to put freeze-dried food in 2-quart jars. This gives us, these are just light and airy, just wonderful. It gives us lots and lots of versatility, which is exactly what we want. With most of our single ingredient foods, it gives us options to be able to fix them however we want. And what I can imagine doing with this turkey is taking it on camping trips, road trips, and then rehydrating it either in camp or right before we go if it's a day trip. And then this would make wonderful, wonderful turkey sandwiches. So that's what I am thinking about here. But lots of other turkey things that we could do as well. So these have dried beautifully. I'm trying not to let them pull apart too much. I'd like to keep them in whole pieces as much as possible. Easier for the brown meat. Oh yeah, the brown meat doesn't break at all. Then if we want to later put them in Mylar to take them traveling with us, that would be okay too. So there are lots, this leaves so many options open. It really is just fine to put them directly in Mylar as well. A lot of people prefer that. And I don't recommend one over the other. They're both very, very good. So there's one. And we'll finish filling with this one. Now these jars are new jars that I have washed and completely dried. And then I I saved the lids that came with these new jars. And then I am reusing older lids. And then I put them out in our lab upside down in the cartons, and that is a clue to me that they're washed and clean and ready to go. It makes it so easy when we do batches like this, and I can just pull one of these clean jars ready to be filled right off the shelf. So I know the jars look clean when they come out of the carton, but it's always much safer to go ahead and wash them before we put our food in there. Okay, now there's some little scraps that I'm not going to let go to waste. My countertops, I always steramine just before we do a video where I'm working with food, because I want everything to be nice and food safe. Okay, so we got just over one, about 1.5. All right, now for these turkey tetrazzini. Now, what happens is that, at least the way we do freeze drying, this was getting close to being done last night, but then it always adds a couple of hours and you never can tell. But if it does finish, like in the middle of the night when we're sleeping, I don't go rushing out there and checking on it, because the freeze dryer will take care of it. It will, after it's done, it will freeze the food and hold it for us until we get out there. So this morning when I went out to check, everything was frozen, including these. And so I could not really tell if these were completely dry. They feel light and airy, but they feel a little bit wet on the bottom. But I don't know if that's because they're not done or if that's because they were frozen and now are just still cooling. So I'm going to break one open to get to the inside. The inside is cold and mushy. So these are not done. So I have, I'm going to break this one too just to see. No, these are completely cold and mushy on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'll break all of them in half, and then I'm going to put them in my dehydrator, because it doesn't matter. Back in the freeze dryer, it would do the same thing if I could get back to that point and start it at the drying cycle on the freeze dryer, which I haven't figured out how to do, start just with drying. But drying is drying. It takes it up to about 127 degrees and then just dries it for several hours. I can do that in my dehydrator. And so I will put these in my dehydrator, and we will come back when these are completely dried, and then I'm going to package these in these Mylar bags, because these will be meals for us. And so I'll put 2 clumps per bag, so that Jim and I, all we would have to do is just open this up, put boiling water in, and we would have a meal. So we will come back after these have been in the dehydrator for a couple of hours, and then we will go from there. Well, I have been doing freeze drying for nearly 2 years. It will be 2 years in a couple of months. And I still am learning some things. And I did learn something really big with this batch. We do have these 2 jars that have been vacuum sealed with the turkey. And these pieces of turkey did just great. But when I also put in 1 tray of thick and viscous food piled up, it really did not work very well. The thing that I learned about this food is that it takes forever to dry, to get clear into the middle and get the spaghetti pieces completely dry. We have had this in our dehydrator for 5 hours so far, and some of them are still not dry. I have a clump right here that are completely dry, but I've broken them completely through the middle so that I can test to be sure that they are dry. So we are going to put together enough for 1 bag. And then the rest are going to go back in the dehydrator probably until Jim and I go to bed. It may be another 4 hours or so. What I will do next time, because I want to do some more turkey tetrazzini, instead of putting it in serving clumps, I'm going to, even though it bakes first, I'm going to flatten it down so that it's all the very same level on the tray, which it won't be quite so pretty, but at least it will be a nice level and consistently dense area so that the freeze dryer can do a better job of sensing it. But these are dry right now, and this will work for 2 servings for Jim, for me, and these are completely dry. So I'm going to put these pieces in here, and we'll just rehydrate with boiling water, and they will work great for when we are out camping. So sometimes, if you've watched our videos very much, what I will do, rather than putting an oxygen absorber in, I will put a little strip of the vacuum bag material that is all textured. I'll put 1 strip here and 1 strip here, and then that allows a pathway for the air inside to get out, because these are smooth and otherwise they just go together and won't let the air out. But that's one way to vacuum seal the inside. But as I mentioned earlier, our kitchen is in disarray waiting for the final finishing of the remodeling. And I've taken things out of cabinets and put them in boxes, and I have no idea which box I put those baggies in. So we are just going to use an oxygen absorber, which is a very satisfactory way of doing these Mylar bags. We'll keep them just fine. So I'm just going to drop an oxygen absorber in, and then we're going to just seal it up. Okay. So this is nice and sealed right across here, and I'll label this, and we should have 3 more just exactly like this. So this will make us 4 meals to take camping with us, so that will be great. So we'll do the rest of these after they get finished, which may be later tonight, we hope so. So I'm very pleased with this batch. I'm very pleased with what I learned. It will certainly be useful going forward as I do. I've not done very many complete meals like this, so I like to do individual ingredients so I can put my own meals together. So this was a learning experience for me. I hope my learning experience is also useful for you. So thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you out there on the trail just as soon as the weather breaks for us, which maybe as soon as next week. We're keeping our fingers crossed. So thanks for joining us.